Bitcoin is close to becoming worthless.
Let's go. Now, what's the Bitcoin?
Bitcoin's like rat poison.
Yeah. Oh,
The greatest scam in history.
let's get it.
Bitcoin will go to fucking zero.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Bitcoin Brief, the show where me and QnA catch up every 2 weeks to talk about Bitcoin, privacy, open source, keeping your Bitcoin secure, and the news and software updates that matter. I just wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been supporting Ungovernable Misfits, and a big thank you to Foundation Devices for supporting the show. If you haven't already checked them out, go to foundation.xyz. They make cypherpunk tools for fuckwits, and anyone can use this, even me. If you have any questions or you want to reach out, feel free and I'll be happy to go through things with you. For anything super technical, I'll pass you on to Q. If you want to buy one of these incredible passports, use the code Ungovernable. It will get you a discount and it will let them know that I'm shilling. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to the Cake Wallet team. Not only are they supporting this show, but they're also bringing out some incredible features. For those of you who actually use Bitcoin and actually care about their privacy and security, Cake Wallet make it incredibly simple for you to live outside of the traditional financial system. You can use Cake Pay within the app to buy gift cards for food, petrol, and whatever else you might need day to day. You can use silent payments, and of course, you can use Monero. You can connect both Bitcoin and Monero nodes, use coin control, and this team are constantly innovating, and I'm really excited to be working with them. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but check them out at cakewallet.com, download the APK, or start using this today on Mac, Windows, Linux, iPhone, or of course your Android device. Enjoy the show. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
All the better for speaking to you. I have a lukewarm coffee, which is not ideal, but outside of that, everything else is peachy.
We haven't had a max coffee intake update for a while. How many cafetières are you drinking a day at the moment?
Firstly, I've switched from cafetiere to a, what do they call them? It's not a percolator. It's like you put water in the bottom. It's steel or cast iron.
Oh, yeah. It's like a stovetop thing, yeah. I call it a mocha pot, but I don't know if that's the proper term for it.
Maybe. Whatever that is, I've got one of those because it's the only thing I could travel with, really, without it getting broken. I took that. I'm probably drinking less. I'm probably drinking like 2 or 3 of those a day, something like that, which equates to like maybe 4 cups of coffee a day or something like that.
Yeah, I suppose when you wake up and all you can see is snow-capped mountains, then that would wake you up in itself, wouldn't it?
It does, yeah, and the cold plunge helps, so
Yeah.
that wakes you up. It's like a shot of caffeine. So, yeah, I'm not really drinking as much, but you know, when I'm doing a recording, I feel a bit weird if I don't have a drink in hand. I like to have a coffee or something alcoholic if possible, if it's recording in the evening. But
Nice.
yeah, what about yourself?
You're pretty standard. 3 coffees a day. It's pretty pretty run of the mill for me at the moment.
Lattes,
No, absolutely not. No.
chocolate marshmallow latte.
Yeah, whipped
with
cream
syrup.
on top.
Yeah.
How was your Easter?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually. Pissed it with rain, which was the only bad thing, but the rest of it was good. Kids enjoyed it, other than being absolutely fucking terrified of an Easter bunny in a costume. Absolutely, just like fucking terrified, which was quite funny, but also a bit sad. Other than that, yeah, it was good. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Nice to have a couple of days off for the family. We did a Easter egg hunt for the kids, and yeah, it was just good, wholehearted family fun. It was pretty nice.
was like finding seed words.
Yeah, basically that. Have you seen the news this morning that basically the entire country of Spain and Portugal have no power whatsoever?
Oh, amazing. I haven't seen that, no.
There's just like the whole southwestern corner of Europe is just dark.
Like literally the whole of Spain and
The
Portugal.
whole of the country, yeah.
What the fuck?
It's still unfolding at the moment. It's literally like the story's 2 hours old right now, and I work with one guy who lives in Spain who's trying to like share as much
I know
information.
that cunt.
Yeah, it just seems like the whole of Spain and Portugal are just dark, and I believe it's also parts of France as well. So very weird situation
What
going
the
on. It's
fuck?
sometimes you get like maybe a region or something like that, but never an entire country, especially what the size of Spain.
No, I've never heard of that. Or you get like the sort of unreliable power, suddenly the wind isn't blowing, and that means that there's less power on the grid and they curtail or whatever it is, but not the whole fucking lot.
Guess who's driving through Europe later this week?
Amazing.
Yeah, great timing.
Oh, I bet I know where you're headed.
Yes, you absolutely do, yes.
That's fucking scary. I wonder how long that will last for.
Hopefully not long. I'll keep you posted, and well, let's hope it's back online by the next time we record in 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's hope so.
A couple of business items. Quick update on Passport Prime and Core shipping updates. Trumpy's been up to his tricks with the ever unfolding tariff scenario, which is wreaking havoc with US businesses, particularly those that do dealings with China, which is essentially most of them if you build physical things, which is causing us some headaches, let's say, and some delays, unfortunately. So we're going to be sending an update out to all customers, well, today as we record on Monday. So by the time the listeners hear this, they'll definitely have that in their inboxes. So keep an eye on that for more details. But it's pushing us back at the moment, about 3 to 4 weeks on both devices, because we've literally got stuff stuck in customs. We've got shipments stuck at port in China. It's just wreaking a lot of havoc at the moment, and it's causing us some headaches. So we're doing everything we can to kind of work around it. But if you've already got stuff built and on a ship, it's kind of a sticky situation.
What a fucking nightmare. Like, I haven't really followed this tariff stuff too closely, but what does it mean in practice? Is it like no one really knows what the cost of things are going to be?
Exactly.
You are or you aren't going to get a bill that is or isn't going to be make or break for your business. It's just like massive uncertainty, basically.
Basically that, yeah. Just massive uncertainty, backlogs in China to their supply chains, which obviously, if you're waiting for goods from China to build your product, then obviously that knock-on effect flows through to wherever you are. And obviously for us, that's in the US. So it's kind of twofold, just uncertainty on cost. Like, we don't know whether something's going to, if we buy a part that's normally $8, we wake up and see a tweet from Trump and it might be $24 today. And you're like, well, there goes our profit margins. So yeah, it's twofold. It's the costs, uncertainty, and the knock-on effects and the uncertainty within the supply chain itself. So interesting times.
Trade-offs, isn't it?
Trade-offs because of the trade war. There you go. We're looking to begin shipping both devices in around 4 weeks from today. So looking like the end of May at the moment. Final piece of, I guess, information, or sad piece of information, really. Saw a tweet from Econom Alchemist this week. It's been over a year now that the Samourai devs have been in legal purgatory. There's no real news. I just wanted to once again shine a light on it to say, this is still unfolding. Yes, in the last show we had some slightly positive news that may or may not flow through and be a positive impact on the Samourai case. Well, that's yet to be seen. But it's still ongoing. I can't believe it's been a year already. And if just supporting whichever way you can to p2prights.org.
Yeah, definitely do that. We'll continue supporting them through the boosts and in any other way we can as well. We've got the shirts. I literally had the order yesterday come through finally. We'll have those back online, and the funds there from the Free Samourai t-shirts and hoodies will obviously be going to them. And then we've also got Will from The Rage coming on in a couple of days. I'm going to be recording with him. Obviously, they've been doing a lot of really good coverage of this subject, so I'm sure we're going to be getting into that and just reminding people again. So, yeah, hashtag Free Samourai.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that Rage recording. I'm glad you guys were able to work that one out, and hopefully we'll get a bit more exposure on the case and the proceedings. As you said, the guys over there have been doing a stellar job of making sure that the world continues to hear about all of the important updates around the Samourai case, the Tornado Cash case, and all of the similar ones as well. So looking forward to listening to that one. We've got a short list today, so let's hit the news, shall we?
Let's do it.
First one on the list, Jack Mallers has been up to his tricks again.
Yo.
He's co-founded or is leading a new company literally just called 21. I wonder where they came up with that name. Backed by Tether, SoftBank Group. They are, from what it seems, looking to basically just copy MicroStrategy, or as they're now known, Strategy, where they're going to be basically just raising debt and buying Bitcoin and obviously marketing that to people who want Bitcoin exposure but dislike the thought of holding Bitcoin itself, which seems very strange to me and something I've never been able to get my head around. The general premise, from what I understand, is it's just a strategy play again, and they're just going to be following in the similar sort of footsteps. There is obviously some jargon around it, pioneering Bitcoin native financial solutions, etc., capital market instruments, native lending models, future innovations, all of the stuff that makes me want to gouge out my own eyes, basically.
Yeah, I have to say, I don't really understand what they're doing. Like you say, it just seems like they're raising a load of debt. They're probably getting cheap debt to buy Bitcoin. They'll probably introduce some type of lending where they take people's actual Bitcoin, make them risk it. But I don't think many people who listen to this show are probably going to be particularly interested in it. But at the same time, I haven't got a lot of time for Jack. I mean, I've been saying for many, many years, you can't just wear a hoodie and say, yo, and I think you're a fucking cypherpunk. The difference between when I first heard him speak, probably 7 years ago or something like that, and how he speaks now and what he's doing now, they're two completely different people. It's full on suit mode. It's full on bankster style. It just is what it is. People are getting very upset about all of this on Twitter and throwing shit at it. It's like, he's a suit. Let him do suit stuff. They're going to do it. There's nothing that you can do to stop it. Just don't use it if you don't like it. But it's certainly not for me.
Yeah, likewise. Yeah, I always just think these kind of things just like a kind of like a leverage Bitcoin call, essentially. Like if Bitcoin catches a cold, these things, again, it's just like a stock tied to Bitcoin. I just don't see the kind of
they can't fail. They're really clever, way more clever than we are. They're going to know stuff and things, and it doesn't matter what Bitcoin does. These businesses can't go pop. You are safe and secure.
Yeah, putting my devil's advocate hat on though, right? Like there's been a few companies now that have copied this play, and to date, every single one of them, like if you invested at the right time, obviously that goes without saying. All of them have gone up exponentially in terms of your initial investment. So I can see the draw for it, but it's just how long does this type of thing work? It works until it doesn't eventually, because the more and more companies that jump on this bandwagon, surely not every single one of them is going to go up 500% in the first year, etc. I just don't see it happening. So I think this type of play is having its heyday and might not be for the long term.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We will indeed. Next on the list, Unchained from Unchained Capital. They also had a name change where they just went to Unchained. Has introduced the Bitcoin Legacy Project. So the Bitcoin Legacy Project plans to invest in community infrastructure, which is the kind of thing I can get behind.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be doing some kind of grassroots development stuff. They're going to be donating to the Bitcoin Policy Institute. They're establishing scholar programs. They're matching grants made to Bitcoin core developers. It's a very good example of a successful Bitcoin native or focused business that's kind of giving back, but giving back in a way that's tangible and not just kind of throwing grants all over the place.
That's good to see.
Definitely. Next one on the list. Question for you, Max. Have you ever heard of an exchange, an instant exchange that does kind of cross cryptocurrency exchanges called EXCH?
Yeah, I actually think I have.
Interesting.
Saying that, I don't know whether that's just because a lot of these exchanges look similar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about it, but I definitely think I know it.
Okay, interesting. Well, the reason I ask is, number one, I haven't heard of it, and number two, sadly, it's shutting down. They did a post on Bitcoin Talk. When was this? Last week. Quick quote from the top of the post, essentially. EXCH will officially be shutting down its operations effective May 1st, 2025. Almost all of you know that EXCH started as a project aimed at demonstrating to the community that alternatives can exist during time when there were none. They never had any financial goals of the project, and rather we conducted an experiment that was unexpectedly successful. Recently, we received confirmation of information we had previously, thanks to some friends that we had in the state intelligence sector, red flag, that our project is the subject of an active transatlantic operation aimed at forcibly shutting our project down and prosecuting us for, quote, money laundering and terrorism. There's those buzzwords again. Even though we've been able to operate despite some failed attempts to shut down our infrastructure, we don't see any point in operating in a hostile environment where we are the target of SIGINT. That's an abbreviation for something, although I'm not sure what that is. Simply because some people misinterpret our goals. Starting from the date of the merger with a new management team this month, and as a result of some urgent meetings, the majority has voted to cease and retreat instead of going against the strong winds, because none of us want to cause any harm to innocent people or this forum. So sad to see. I've got no idea in terms of like the volume that this was doing. I'm gonna say it's maybe not that much comparative to some of the other ones out there because I've never heard of it. But again, that's purely anecdotal. But sad to see another no KYC one go down.
And it depends because it could be one of these shitcoin to shitcoin exchanges that actually would do a lot of volume because people are trading and jumping all over the place and doing all this stuff. Like most people who listen to the show, probably it's more like they've either bought on exchange at one point and then they've moved across to no KYC, or they're just earning it or buying a little bit and they sort of hold it until they need to use it kind of stuff. I guess like most people aren't like big traders, but people I know who are still like love their shitcoins and yielding and this and that, they're always fucking doing something. They're doing like a trade or 10 every day, like as if that's like a normal thing. And like, so maybe it was doing a lot of volume because you have all these different assets and things and yields and stuff. So it could be, but either way, it's sad to see it go.
I know we're only a couple of days away from the stated deadline of the 1st of May, but I've just clicked the link from Bitcoin Talk and it's already dead. So whether or not they've kind of been taken down early or they've taken it down themselves early, but it's the URL is not accessible anymore. So
Okay.
Yeah, gone. Next on the list, the Voltage team have announced Voltage payments, and this new Voltage platform enables fastest way. Wow, nobody read this the title of this article before.
No, I wrote this for them.
It looks like you did. I'll read it verbatim. New Voltage platform enables fastest way to enable Bitcoin and soon stablecoin transactions. Okay, now I've read the whole thing. Maybe it doesn't make us, maybe it's okay.
Yeah.
So what's the headline here? Let's try and cut through all of the buzzwords. Oh, here we go. Enterprises desire a single API that integrates Bitcoin and stablecoin payments with a minimal technical overhead. See, this was the reason it piqued my interest here and wanted to start the conversation off with you, Max, around historically, Voltage, to my knowledge, has been a kind of Bitcoin-only company. You know, you can pay for the services in Bitcoin and their core business is helping you kind of run a cloud node in a semi-secure way so that you, if you have a store, then you can receive and send Bitcoin payments as well without having to manage all of the headaches of that infrastructure. But it piqued my interest where they've integrated stablecoins into this one. This seems to be a little bit more of a growing trend I've noticed. in just generally in the kind of ecosystem where more and more wallets or tertiary kind of projects that operate in and around Bitcoin seem to be being more open to integrating stable coins. And we know that's being driven by demand, but I just feel like it's an interesting kind of data point really that I didn't see coming, and it seems to be not being met with open arms, but it seems to be like nobody's talking about it, despite stablecoins generally speaking being, what's the word I'm looking for, a scapegoat of the typical Bitcoin maximalism rhetoric. And it's just interesting to see these types of companies now are not rolling over, because clearly they're a business, they want to make money, and if they see a need for it, they're going to meet that need. So it's just interesting. I just wanted to get your thoughts on it really.
I think that whoever has the money in this very small ecosystem, people who actually consistently talk about this stuff in the Bitcoin world, is small. And they listen to a few news outlets and podcasts and a very small pool of information that's actually listened to. And they are all controlled by generally who pays them. And there's a lot of money coming in from these stable coins. I don't have to name them specifically. You can kind of guess some of them. And then people start to tether. And then people speak more favorably about them because they're getting money in their pocket. And then that influences everyone else. It's pretty simple. Like, I think it is literally that. I think if all those companies and news outlets and people stopped getting funding from Tether, then very quickly things would change and we'd be back to fuck stable coins, Bitcoin only, there'd be all that stuff. But personally, I don't really care. Like, I don't really have a problem with stable coins. People can do what they want. Like, it's not something I need or use personally, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's just because I've been around for a certain amount of time and like I've been bored of just arguing with people, but I just don't care what people do anymore. I don't know if you feel the same, where you're just like, just fucking use stablecoins if you want. Like, if something goes wrong, it's on you. They're still a Bitcoin company. They still have Bitcoin payments. Like, I probably care more about people using custodial wallets and then prancing around like they're saving the world. That winds me up more than probably anything else. I care more about that than people using stablecoins, I think, because it's more of a lark.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, to be clear, like, they are one and of the same. Like, you say a custodial wallet, but like Tether is custodial as well. But yeah, I agree. I think it's just a sign of the times that we often look at all of this sort of stuff with our kind of Westerner privileged rose-tinted glasses, where we have a relatively, I'm using air quotes, stable currency. We don't see the need for a stable coin, and we would much rather kind of look elsewhere. But it's quite telling that the overwhelming growth in kind of cryptocurrency is stable coins. So it's just telling that, the overwhelming majority of people who look to this kind of industry aren't all that bothered about censorship resistance, you could argue, yet. But what they're more concerned with is stability. And that's why people are flocking to Tether, be it on Tron or what other network you can get access to it on.
Yeah,
it's just been an interesting one that I didn't see coming, maybe 3-4 years ago, especially the side of things where these somewhat Bitcoin maximalists or more focused companies are now integrating it. It's just an interesting data point to me.
Yeah.
Just to cap off this voltage payment quickly, it's essentially just an API where you can accept Bitcoin payments without the need to hold Bitcoin itself. You can have USD settlement and you can deal with its volatility as well. So pretty interesting because, like, again, most vendors, unless you're, or the person who operates the business is already a Bitcoin maxi, most people are kind of not really that interested in holding Bitcoin or in dealing with the headaches of all the taxes, again, particularly in Western countries, because they just don't want to deal with all of the headache. But if you could open your business up to the growing portion of the world that classifies themselves as Bitcoiners and say, look, we accept Bitcoin, but then not have to deal with any of the headaches involved with it, then it seems like a win-win to me. And obviously, I'm sure there'll be some fees involved because at the end of the day, Voltage is a business.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like, if you're just a normal business and you think, oh, this Bitcoin thing is being spoken about, I'd kind of like to accept it or allow people to pay me in it, but I don't want the headache. I can totally see, oh, what have I got to do? I've got to set up a BTCPay server, and now I've got to have these Lightning channel things, and I've got to pay to host that somewhere else, and that costs $40 a month, and then I have to work out how to do it, and then and then I have to have my own wallet, and now I have to worry about the keys, and you do all of that, and then it's like 1 or 2 people a month pays in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to fucking send it all to your accountant, and they're going to be like, oh god, because most accountants are still like really not clued up on most of this stuff. And I can see that you just be like, oh, just outsource that shit.
Yeah, solving a problem. More power to them. Next up on the list, Panama City has approved Bitcoin and crypto payments for taxes, fees, and permits. Okay. Panama City Council has just voted in favour of becoming the first public institution of government to accept payments in crypto. Citizens will now be able to pay their taxes, fees, tickets, and permits entirely in crypto, starting with Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, and USDT. There's those stable coins again.
Yeah.
I don't have much more to add other than that was the news. Pretty cool.
Isn't Panama already like a tax haven?
I believe so, yeah.
So I don't understand what taxes you're paying there, because I might be wrong, but I thought that there was no corporate tax, no income tax, and no capital gains tax. It might just be that you have to set up as a corporation and then you get the benefits of that, and it's not for like private individuals.
Possibly. It does say fees, tickets, and permits as well. So maybe it's like parking permits, parking tickets, parking fines,
property taxes, or some sort of like
stuff like that.
Okay, that's still good.
Yeah, pretty good if you're a whale.
Yeah, but it's like it's a good step in the right direction, because I think with a lot of this stuff, it really is. It does come down to people are like, oh, I don't want to spend because I have the cap gains, or I don't want to use it because it could be a problem here and it's a counting headache. And I genuinely think that's one of the biggest hurdles. I think we talked about it maybe last month, but it's like for a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's just easier just to spend fiat. It stops people really starting to use it because of the headache. So any step like that, even if it is paying for something gay like taxes or parking tickets, is still good.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, have you ever been to Panama?
I haven't actually. I'd like to.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it does look cool.
Next up on the list, we have Spar Supermarket. I was more shocked about the fact they have Spar in Switzerland, to be honest, than actually what the news is here. I thought that was just a UK thing, but clearly I was wrong. Yeah. So the Spar Supermarket in Switzerland now accepts Bitcoin via Lightning, which is pretty cool. It's going to be rolled out to the whole of the Spar network in Switzerland. I have no... Oh, here we go. They've got 13,900 stores across 48 countries. So there's probably no more than, 100 in Switzerland, I would have thought. It's not exactly a big country, is it? The Spar location is one of the first Christmas supermarkets in Switzerland where you can pay directly at the checkout via Bitcoin using LNURL, thanks to our new Open Crypto Pay solution.
Okay. I wonder if it actually happens, because I'm sure there was talk about this a while ago, and then you could pay with Lightning. Because my question would be, like, are they just treating it like cash then? Presumably they are, because all these regulations and stuff is as soon as you can spend cash and stuff, but if you want to even think about spending Bitcoin or anything else, they want a fucking life story about where the funds are from and what you're doing and all your KYC information and blah, blah, blah. Like, are they just saying, okay, whereas Lightning is like cash? Presumably so.
Point. I don't know what the capital gains laws are in Switzerland. That's an interesting point, really. Because you don't want to be paying capital gains tax on a pack of cigarettes, do you? They're already taxed enough.
Not really, no. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't. Maybe is Switzerland no capital gains? Maybe it is. I think it might be one of those ones like Germany where you have to have held for like a year or there's some sort of rule like that, and then after that point, it's I don't know. I just don't know how they work that out because, Lightning payments are relatively private, and then so they can't really tell any information about you. And unless they're IDing you while you go and buy your packet of cigarettes and pay for them with Lightning, then they don't know who you are. So it's like cash.
Switzerland, BT, Bitcoin capital gains tax. Let's do some. Let's take the listeners on
research live on air.
Yeah, here we go.
Just out of interest, do you use AI when you're searching stuff, or do you still do the old school Google?
I'm still, just typing it into the address bar, seeing what comes up.
No school like the old school.
If it's something like I know I'm going to have to go back and forth a little bit to get like multiple pieces of information, then I'll use AI. But if it's just like one thing where I need to know what are the capital gains laws in Switzerland, then I'll just type it into the address bar.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there is zero. Private investors do not pay capital gains tax on your crypto gains. It's only businesses and self-employed traders who pay capital gains.
There we are.
So there you go. Go to Switzerland for your cigarettes.
Yeah, except that Switzerland's extremely expensive. I went there a few years ago and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is heavy.
So what you're saying is it's cheaper to stay in the UK and buy them in the UK with capital gains tax.
I'd imagine so. Unless I think if you work in Switzerland, you earn a lot more than you do in the UK, and therefore it like balances out. But if you're like going from the UK or you have a UK job and you go over there, I'm pretty sure, like I might be slightly out on this, but getting a sandwich at the airport was like 15 quid.
Oof.
Yeah, I remember being there. I went with my missus. We went for a couple of days, and I was like, "Yeah, this is fucking like this is proper expensive." So it sort of all levels out, I guess.
Indeed. Last one on the news. I think I'll hand this one over to you because I know you mentioned it with John, and you might have a bit more information on it. But there's a new fund around for the Ashigaru developer team. Is that right?
Yes, there is. Well, there's a couple of things. There's a new fund for the Ashigaru developers that I don't know if I'm supposed to say who set up or what, so I'll kind of keep it brief. But basically, you can donate directly to support them, and we're going to put a link in the show notes. I think it's through Geyser.
It is. I'm looking at it right now.
The last one I saw was a very generous donation from Black Coffee. So thank you, Black Coffee, you legend. Mm-hmm. He did a very kind donation across. We've seen quite a few others. Most of them were anonymous. Anyone who wants to support them, you can do that directly, and that's just good to see. It's an incredible project. We're also going forward, I think from this episode forward, 10% of the total pot of all boosts now goes to them. 10% goes to Free Samourai. Free Samourai and Ashigaru are both now being supported with every boost.
Love to hear it. Yeah. At the time of recording, the fund is currently at 413,000 sats. Wow. With Black Coffee top of the list with $100, which at the time of recording is 113,000 sats. So let's pump those numbers, people. Doesn't matter whether it's $1 or $100. Just give what you can because it's a very important wallet, and I want to see it prosper.
Yeah, definitely. And final point on that is, for everyone who is whinging and moaning about OpenSats or any of these other companies and the KYC and all that stuff, which I don't agree with either. I don't think it's great, obviously. But if you want change and you want to actually see devs that won't dox themselves, and they would be stupid to dox themselves to get that grant money, you want to see them supported, and you want to carry on this cypherpunk ethos and do things properly, then here's your chance. Don't just whinge about it on Twitter. Get your purse out and send them a few sats.
Absolutely. Before we hit the boosts, I was listening to Action News this morning. Is John okay? Is he okay?
Oh, God. It depends what you mean. He's a bit stressed.
He seems a bit highly strung at the moment. I kind of want to fly over there and just give him a little sweetie just to calm him down.
Give him a little cuddle. I'd like to go and give him a little cuddle. I think he needs it. Maybe we could both fly over and both just give him a cuddle at the same time.
Should we just turn up to his house?
Yeah, definitely. He has a lot of guns. So I think maybe just before we arrive, we might want to just say, John, it's us sneaking up on you. But yeah, I think we should. I think it'd be nice. He's a stressed man. I know some of the stuff that he's dealing with at the moment. He's been working, obviously, always really hard, like running the Meshtadel and the Pleb Miner groups and doing the shows with me and getting all the info to let people know everything they need to know about mining and stats and all this kind of stuff. But on top of that, he also has a day job and he's trying to start something else new and a family. And you know what it can be like. He's just, right now, he's in the thick of it and dealing with a lot of shit. But hopefully in sort of a few months, things will turn around and some of this hard work that he's putting in will start to pay off. But yeah, he is stressed.
Take it easy, John. Take it easy, mate.
We love you, mate.
We do.
Yeah.
Boosts. Top of the shop, as always at the moment, is our good friend Late Stage Hoddle with 15,000 sats. Out of the UK, congrats. I don't need to know where you moved, but I hope to one day meet you in person. Q, I already met you, but maybe in the future I can buy you both a beer or 10. I would love that.
I would love that too. I very much look forward to that. And yeah, I'm not advertising where I am, but I appreciate the message, mate, and very happy to be gone. Look forward to having a beer with you and Q or 10 very soon. Compliant Banana with 11,111 sats. Bitcoin Derby would like to welcome you. Bitcoin Derby would like to welcome you to our next meetup, which will take place at Ye Old Dolphin DE1 3DL on Saturday, the 10th of May at 3 p.m. We will discuss bootstrapping your own Ashigaru wallet and its wide variety of tools. P.S. DOJ's statement is merely a fart in the wind until the Samourai and Tornado Cash TC cases are dropped. Hashtag free Samourai, hashtag free Roman. Yeah, completely agree with that. And thank you very much for the boost. And good to see you're going to be using the Ashigaru slides we've been working on.
Yeah, I saw those. Very cool.
Pretty good, aren't they?
They are indeed.
All these meetups, I've been to a few, and it's very easy for people just to sort of stand with a beer in their hand and chat about how great Bitcoin is. And we just thought it'd be nice actually to be able to offer full presentations for people to use and actually learn and try things and stuff. So yeah, Jordan and Expatriotic have been working hard on those, and basically going to be available for any meetups to download and use and help educate the people who go there and get them running Ashigaru, and we'll be doing others very soon as well. So hopefully people find them useful.
Love to see it. Next up, 8 Mithrandir, 7,777 sats. And he just said, congrats on getting out of the UK.
Thank you, mate. Barnabas, Podverse, 6,969 sats. Do not update your BTCPay server if you accept Monero, my dudes. Ask Seth or Jordan for deets. Well, I'm glad I didn't. I think we talked about that the other week, didn't we? I was like, yeah, I'm just leaving it alone. I know there's an update, but fuck that. Like, if something is working, I leave it.
Indeed.
And there we are. That's why.
Well, maybe take a note for you and Seth to cover why you wouldn't want to update on the Monero show, because I'm not exactly sure why you wouldn't want to do it. Clearly something's broken somewhere, but it'd be good to get some more details so people can be more aware.
I'll try and remember that one. I'm recording with him tomorrow morning, so I will try and remember that.
Send him my regards.
I will do. He's a busy boy as well, isn't he?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Shadowy Badger, 5,000 sats. Welcoming back the Phoenix oligarchs. So this is in reference to Phoenix coming back into the USA now that the regulatory landscape looks a little bit more favourable. So good to see.
Yeah. Shadrach with 3,993 sats. I'm really glad you got off the island, Max. Hashtag 40 hours per week. Headphone emoji thing. Thank you, mate. It's been nice to have so many positive messages from people. Just like, well done, getting the fuck out of there. It's been nice. A lot of DMs and supportive words and things like that. So thank you to everyone.
Chad Farrow. It says Chad Farrow and 33 others with 1,111 sats. But I don't know where the 33 others comes in. I'm a bit confused by that. But anyway, here's what Chad said. Correct QnA, you can run your own Nostr relay. I have one locally on my Start9 and one in the cloud. I should look into downloading my data from other relays and put them on mine. Yes, you should, sir. For me, I use Nostr to see if anything cool can be used in a podcasting 2.0. In fact, I've been listening to this episode and streaming sats in Podverse because it uses my own Lightning node. This boostergram from Fountain is just so it shows up on Nostr. Cross-app comments have been a hot topic in podcasting 2.0 for years, so I'm just trying to pump the data into the system to see how it goes. Doing this in Fountain is also the easiest way to do so, since the episode in Fountain is the root post for the Nostr comments. I'd love my boostergrams from the apps using AlbiHub to be posted to Nostr, but it's not a deal breaker because using Podverse with my own node is already my dream setup, so the devs can do whatever they want with their apps. I rambled a little, so my 333 sat boost got upgraded to a Satchel of Richards. Here is the aforementioned 333 sat boost where he just said Nostr users are like vegans, lol. Your soundbite from the previous show.
Yeah.
And he also said his buddy at bitpunk.fm is typing, calls Nostr the ham radio of social media. That's pretty good analogy as well. And then finally, Chad Farrow again with another 333 sats. He said, these birds are killing me, but the show must go on. I've seen a lot of comments around the birds on the last show, which was allegedly in the background of your audio. I didn't hear anything the whole way through the recording.
But were you on a dog walk, walking around with headphones in, listening, and therefore maybe you thought that it was like birds where you were walking?
I've seen multiple people complaining about the birds.
Oh, I've had people complaining. I've had people praising it. And then I've had people like Barn who did both. He whinged about it non-stop, like in messages, giving me his life story about how he was on the phone to someone, and then that was in the background, and there was these birds. I was like, honestly, I couldn't care less, mate. And then he jumps on the pod, and then he's like, yeah, why haven't we got the birds? I really like that. I was like, what the fuck?
It feels like that could be a feature edition for Fountain. So, like you go on websites and you have like dark mode and light mode. You could open up Fountain, play on the latest Bitcoin brief, and then turn on bird mode.
Oh, bird mode. Yeah, that'd be nice. I've actually sat inside in a bathroom to record this, again, as I did on the last episode, just so everyone can stop fucking whinging about the bird noises.
Well, I must admit, your audio is pretty good considering you sat in a room that's normally quite echoey.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I've got a vision now of you sat on the toilet with your laptop on your knee and a microphone set up on a stand next to the toilet.
You're not far off, mate. You're not far off. We're not quite at that level in our relationship where I would record a podcast with you while shitting.
I don't need proof of it either.
No, but we're not we're not far off. I could be in the bath. Do you know what? I've actually thought about doing that a few times. I was like, I can't remember which ones they were, where I've had a fucking bad headache, like almost migraine level, where I can barely function, and I've had to record. And I've really been close to being like, I'll just run a hot bath and then just record from here. Like, who's going to know? I haven't done it yet, but maybe one day.
I look forward to the day I'm listening to one of your shows and I can just hear like a faint splash in the background.
Splash the rubber ducky. It'd be quite nice to record from a bath.
Should we do it next time?
I think we should. I think that'd be quite fun. Just have a little recording from a bath, or, I mean, a hot tub would be amazing, but we're not at that level in life yet. So let's do bath.
Unfortunately not. Yeah, we need to keep holding for another 20 years yet.
FOMO Chronic, 1001 sats, no message. Jin with 777 sats. Cheers to getting out of the UK. Cheers to you, mate. Thank you. Haikian with 500 sats. Thank you for sharing. You're laughing. Am I going to say that differently? Hi.
It was just like, hiya!
Haikian. Thanks for sharing useful information in the space. He's
so I think it's probably to do with Hayek, the economist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Haikian. Okay. I was reading
I like
that
your
as like
version
it was Japanesey sort of style.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I prefer that version.
Right.
We've got Time with 350 sats, no message. Pies, 250 sats. Last boost for a while. Thank you, gentlemen. I wonder where you're going, Pies. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'd like to know. He said he was like going to ground for a bit or something.
Interesting. Think he's been put on a list?
I think he's on every list, knowing pies, I would imagine.
Stay safe
But
out
good
there,
luck to you,
pies.
mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anonymous with 350 sats. No message. W with 121 sats. Orbot for iOS still sucks monkey nuts emojis. Drops the connection and restarts every minute or two. Keep complaining till it's better. Salute emoji. Max, your critique of Nostr's private key issue is spot on, although I bet Q is about to explain why it's no longer an issue. Pausing the episode now. It's a problem, yes, and people are working on it. But since you point out that it's essentially various risk of rug pull and account... Oh my god, man, I can't read. Rug pull and account compromise that hold you back, I'd ask what sort of alternatives are instead worth putting in the time and energy. To me, it's the best solution yet for distributed digital information network. Beyond simply social media use cases, by the way, since basically everything else is centralized. Did I lose you? I just heard like a
No,
loud
I'm still here.
ping. Okay, all right. At least on Nostr, there is a pretty good solution. And you can use something like Albi or Nostr to securely store your NSEC in a single app and can sign events on your behalf without exposing your private key. Still clunky, but we're still early and all that. I see it as a censorship. Fuck me. I see it as a censorship-resistant communication layer for Bitcoin. If the centralized communication providers were to someday begin censoring all things Bitcoin or Monero. Now unpausing, okay, Froster, holy fuck, multi-sig security with key rotation, flexibility, and authorized signing convenience. That sounds pretty damn fixed to me. Been meaning to explore Frost for Bitcoin. Isn't that where this came from? Oh, and Orbot for iOS still sucks monkey nuts.
I love that they brought us on a journey and told us when they were pausing it and unpausing it, and the realization of, yep, Q did answer the question later in the show. So, yeah, thanks for that. It made me chuckle that one when I read it. And yes, you are right. Like it stems from like the Frost application of Bitcoin, hence the name.
Well, great message. Thank you for that. And thank you for everyone trying to listen through my awful reading. I think anything that's longer than like a sentence or two should not be attempted by me in future.
Fair enough. Next one is up from John, and he said that there are still a few more Meshconomy boxes left. What's a Meshconomy box, Max? Tell us.
That is what we discussed on the last episode. It's a collection of items produced by people in the Meshtadel. Coffee, candles, stickers on this one. And it's to help support the circular economy and actually buy products from Bitcoiners who make them themselves. So it's pretty cool, and it's just a way for us to help people find those producers.
Pretty sweet. Like it.
Yeah, and you can check it out on the website.
Final thank you to, Max Wood with 210 sats. Thanks to Max and Q for your great work. Explosion emoji. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And
final thank you to Po Janmees, 2,756 sats streamed. Cass Peeland, 1,921 sats streamed. We All Eat streamed 1,183 sats. And that's it for the top streamers. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you to everyone. You know, Po Janmees is the unpronounceable cunt. He's changed his name back, I think.
Interesting. Well, that is definitely unpronounceable.
Yeah, as you mispronounced it, I was like, yeah, it all makes sense here.
Dox themselves through bad spelling.
Updates and releases.
And before, just in case Tickle Me Tummy is listening and thinking, hang on a minute, I boosted on the last show. Yes, we have received your XMR. Thank you very much. We're going to hit your question at the end in the question section, so I don't think that we have forgotten about it.
No, we'd never
forget. Yeah, a couple of updates
you,
and releases here. Bitcoin Keeper has had a bit of a rebrand. New logo, slightly different colour. and some different text on the kind of the logo itself. Bitcoin Keeper, new brand, same commitment, like that. Obviously, the link to the blog post will be in the show notes. They have just continued to kind of iterate and kind of clean up the app and stuff. And I've said it once, I'll say it again, but it seems like Ben is having a very big impact over there. Ben, what's his surname?
Ben Ark, Ben Gunn, Ben Kaufman.
Ben Kaufman, yes, indeed.
Yes. He went away for a long time and then he's just come back.
He did, yeah. He took over Bitcoin Twitter and gained all of the followers and then just disappeared. But nice to see him back and doing good work. They've also released version 2.20, which contains the new branding. They've also now added testnet support, and they've also got something called Bitcoin Keeper Private, which I have no idea what that is. So I'm going to do some more research on it and find out for us all.
I like research on air. It's good.
My guess is it's for private clients.
Okay. Which is a weird one, because if you have private clients, then you have to gather information on those private clients, which makes them less private.
Keeper Private is a premier end-to-end concierge service designed to assist high net worth individuals and institutions in acquiring and holding Bitcoin while ensuring its long-term security. It includes setup guidance, hardware wallet kit, reminders and check-ins, and inheritance planning.
Okay.
So it just seems like a bit of a white glove service, essentially, for rich people. So it counts you and me out, mate, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. There we are.
The next one we have is a Fidelity bond calculator, which is just a cool little tool I wanted to mention that has popped up. I think we've spoken about Fidelity bonds within Join Market before, but quick TLDR is kind of, it's a Fidelity bond is some Bitcoin that you can elect to lock up for a certain amount of time to show your commitment to be a good actor within the Join Market ecosystem. This tool essentially helps potential market makers within Join Market evaluate how competitive their position would be based on any given load of different parameters. So they can kind of work it out based on their criteria and kind of benchmark that against the current market situation before they go ahead and lock up those funds.
Yeah.
Next one we have on the list is a blog post by second.tech, link in the show notes, introducing ERK, E-R-K, which is ARK without liveness requirements. The reason I mentioned this one is basically just to be able to have an excuse to talk about ARK. I've had a couple of questions in and around the show on Nostr and Twitter about it lately, and it's a rabbit hole I've started to go back down for two main reasons. Number one was the questions, and number two was that it seems to be talked about a lot more often now and seems to be getting towards proof of concept stage, which for me is kind of a green light to start paying something a bit more attention. Yeah. So what's your basic understanding of ARK at the moment, Max, if any?
Yeah, fuck all, really. I think it's some type of second layer solution that's sort of lightning-ish, but that it's like swapping UTXOs on the back end or some sort. There was some sort, I can't remember. Basically, fuck all. My first statement is correct. Fuck all. No, fuck all.
So most of that was kind of loosely right, where it's like
nonsense.
Lightning-ish. So Lightning scales by allowing people to do off-chain transactions where they'll basically just share a 2 of 2 multisig where there's normally a singular UTXO that is kind of shared between the two participants within that channel. And then, as they transact back and forth, who owns what percentage of that UTXO on chain is kind of updated.
Yeah.
So that scales for basically means two people can share a UTXO, which is scaling, but it's not, massive amounts of scaling. And yes, of course, with Lightning, you have onion routing as well. So it's not just a case of, you can only pay who you have a channel with. You can hop through various different nodes, but that then brings with it all of the headaches that we have in Lightning, like liquidity management, etc., etc. So ARK aims to fix kind of two of those things, where with ARK, it enables more than two people to share a UTXO. I don't actually know if there's any technical limits on how many people can share. a UTXO,
Right.
but in the podcast I've been listening to, they've been talking in the order of thousands as if it's kind of run of the mill. Clearly an exponential growth in terms of like scaling ability. And also because there are no channels or the concept of channels within Arc, you don't have any of the liquidity drawbacks that you do with Lightning. The main two being if you want to receive straight away on Lightning, you can't because you've got no inbound liquidity. And if you want to send larger amounts, you're once again beholden to the liquidity along that payment route. Arc doesn't have any of that. All it does essentially is use the magic of Taproot and signature Merkle trees to basically say, okay, I'm an Arc provider. I kind of coordinate all of the people that are within my Arc that want to share this given UTXO. The whole thing obviously is constructed in such a way that every person that has a part of that one UTXO has what we call that all-important unilateral exit. Basically, they can go back out on chain without the permission from the service provider, as they're called within the Arc ecosystem. So that's the kind of main point here that makes it tangible as possibly becoming a layer 2. Is that just like Lightning, for all its faults, if you want to get out of it, you can do so trustlessly and you can just settle on chain. Again, there's going to be fees involved with that, but Arc, to my kind of early rudimentary understanding, seems to be a pretty cool and very, very promising improvement to the scaling that is offered by Lightning by removing two of the main hurdles of it. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I fully understand it, and I'm sure there's going to be loads of different trade-offs that will come out in the wash as Arc gets closer and closer to being kind of live. But it's definitely something I'm a lot more interested in now that I've got a bit more of a better understanding for it. The main kind of drawback that I've kind of gained a little bit of an understanding on at the moment is the kind of interactivity requirements. So all of these state updates where you have basically a share of a singular UTXO, which they call virtual UTXOs. They all require kind of signatures, basically, and you just hold on to the part of the transaction tree that means that you can kind of exit out of that unilaterally. That requires a lot of interactivity back and forth, which is obviously not great for mobile users. I believe that this could be drastically reduced if we get a covenant-style soft fork in Bitcoin, something like CTV. That would reduce that almost to zero, but it's very much possible to achieve without all of that sort of stuff, again, which makes it interesting to me because we're not waiting for some arbitrary point in the future that may or may not ever arrive. So yeah, I'm quite interested by it at the moment. I'm going to be paying a bit more attention to the kind of proof of concepts that come out and things like that. But yeah, seems pretty cool. Hopefully to the people that have asked for a quick what is Arc, that's done, a basic 5,000 foot view of it. Any questions that have cropped up in my very simplistic explainer there?
Just what do you think is the biggest drawback? And do you think this replaces Lightning given time, or do you think it's just going to be an additional, or it won't happen at all? Because it's been talked about for ages.
Yeah, I think it's complementary to Lightning. Like you could exit an Arc straight into Lightning. If you're like an exchange, or you have a direct channel with somebody that you know for a fact you're going to be paying backwards and forwards repeatedly over time, then Lightning still makes more sense because you're already doing that kind of headache and you know that you're going to be paying that individual back and forth. Like you don't need to include an ASP, an Arc service provider in that kind of relationship. No. So I don't think it kind of removes the need for Lightning at all, but it's certainly, I think this makes more sense for at the edges of the network where people are kind of onboarding, where they, we know all of the headaches that we have with Lightning and particularly around inbound liquidity, et cetera, and, there are already solutions that kind of fix that with different trade-offs, like the Phoenix model, where they just take fees from you and give you just-in-time channels, etc. I think it's definitely going to be a viable alternative. The other unanswered question I have at the moment, and I'm sure it has been answered, I just haven't found it yet, is like if everybody in the Arc wanted to exit at the same time, I'm sure that's going to cause headaches or problems somewhere along the line. I don't quite know what that looks like, but it feels like there could be a risk of like a rush, a mass rush for like the exit.
Bank run.
Yeah, exactly. My guess is that the Arc service provider would need to be like over collateralized to be able to deal with multiple runs like that, I'm guessing. And then the other one, which is very similar to Lightning, is that if you're doing this for small amounts, where let's say you're just testing it out and you've got, well, maybe not small amounts, it depends on the fee market, I guess. Let's say you do it for, you're testing it out with 10,000 sats. Like if you try to unilaterally exit from an ARC with 10,000 sats and fees are 100 sats per byte, like you're going to end up with nothing. So I think it's great for certain, I won't say larger amounts because 10,000 sats is not a lot of money, but for like amounts approaching the dust limit, like you essentially, it's not censorship resistant, because if you try to exit on your own in an adversarial environment onto the chain, you're just going to lose everything to fees in the very same way you would with Lightning.
Yeah.
So yeah, something I'm going to keep my eyes on, but seems to be pretty cool and pretty promising, and slowly but surely is turning into something tangible rather than me wrongly considering it to be potential vaporware for the past couple of years since it's been announced and talked about.
Yeah, well, I think the safest thing to assume when things like this are talked about is that they are going to be vaporware and that they probably won't ever happen. You just wait until it gets a bit more substantial. Otherwise, you waste so much fucking time thinking about like what might potentially be, but then ends up not, and it's just it's a massive time sink.
Yeah, indeed. Right, whiz through the last couple of bits. Link in the show notes for updates on something called Awesome CTV and Check Sig from Stack. Just a software proposal. We've spoken about CTV before, and it's just got lots of resources linked to that, as this is, again, something that seems to be gaining a lot of developer focus and chatter. Seems to be a pretty good resource to go and really dig in and get your turbo nerd on if you're interested in that sort of stuff. BTCPay server 2.1.0 we talked about on the last show. Rockstar Dev, the developer, has now released a video tutorial on using the new multisig feature in there, which is pretty interesting to go and check out. And there's also one in there about using child pays for parent and RBF functionality as well. So they could be pretty useful, particularly if you're a merchant that uses BTCPay. Last two, Coinswap version 0.1.1 has been released with protocol efficiency, security, and usability improvements. So this was another one that kind of went quiet for quite some time, and then I didn't even know it was still being worked on, and then it looks like somebody has released a new update for it. So Coinswap was the Greg Maxwell / Chris Belcher proposal that as a privacy technique where somehow using some cryptographical magic you were able to swap essentially private keys to UTXOs trustlessly with other people on the chain.
Yeah, I never really quite worked out how it worked, but
no, me neither. And again, this was one I just chalked up to vaporware until I see some user-facing tools around it. So maybe once again we're edging closer to that. A quick TLDR here. This is a good summary. Coinswap is a decentralized protocol for private, trustless cryptocurrency swaps. It allows participants to securely swap digital assets without intermediaries, using advanced cryptographic techniques and atomic swaps to ensure privacy and security. This release introduces major improvements to the protocol's efficiency, security, and usability, including custom in-memory UTXO indexes, more advanced coin selection algorithms, Fidelity bonds, and more. So I believe this is still, there's a live testnet market if you want to go and test this out. But once again, I just keeping an eye on this one. Very complex. And I always, I don't know, I struggle with getting really enthusiastic about things like this that are really complex until I fully understand them. But with Coinswap, I'm not sure I'm ever going to get to that point. So maybe I just need to press some buttons on testnet and see how it works.
Also, I'm not sure that I like it as a option anyway, even if it worked, just because you're swapping a UTXO or key to a UTXO with somebody else, and then you don't know necessarily who that person is or where they're going to use your UTXO. So if yours was KYC'd or linked to somehow your identity in some way, and then they use it in some way that some government doesn't deem to be legal or whatever bullshit they come up with, I feel like you could just end up landing yourself in more shit. Like, I feel like it could be more of a problem than a solution.
Yeah, I think this has been the main critique of the whole protocol since it was released years and years ago. It's probably been at least 4 years now, something like that. And I agree. Yeah, it's like you could be inheriting somebody else's unfavorable UTXO history. So for me, it kind of makes sense as like a post-mix tool or something like that. And clearly there's some join market influence here as well, because they're talking about join market, they're talking about Fidelity bonds, etc. as well. So perhaps that is the end goal, and it is a cool additional to, swap a post-mix UTXO. That makes more sense to me, but once again, we'll see how things unfold.
Yeah, you're right. If it's part of doing other things, I just, it's no whirlpool is my point. It's like...
Agreed.
It's a big trade-off, and it could be more risky than it is helpful. But if you use it with other stuff, then maybe.
Do you think we'll ever get Whirlpool back? Do you think there's a 50% chance that we'll get it back in the next 5 years?
I have faith that we will. Yeah. I think there are enough people who care, and I don't think there's any solution within the Bitcoin ecosystem that has done the job as well as Whirlpool did. Certainly I haven't found it, if there is. So I think there is a massive need for it. I think maybe there's going to be someone who's brave enough to do this. I would say within the next 5 years, I would be fairly confident it happens. Maybe that's just hope, though. What about you?
Yeah, again, this is based on absolutely zero insider knowledge or anything like that. This is purely conjecture, but yeah, I think somebody will do it within 5 years. I'm hopeful. I think a lot of it hinges on the outcome of the Samourai case, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, do we get somebody rogue that does it anyway?
Maybe. I mean, maybe. It's just it's such a massive target.
Oh yeah.
At this point in time, that I think also it doesn't mean that there isn't someone out there working on something, and maybe it isn't implemented in the exact same way that it was previously. Like it might be a similar but slightly different approach, because, basically it's life or death. Like if someone does this as it currently stands, someone can come in and fucking take your life away, basically. Just ruin your life because they don't like what you're doing with your software. So I completely understand it's not back at the moment, but my feeling is that, at some point.
Yeah. Last one on the list. We talked about at length about key management in Nostr. Android users have had a wonderful solution for quite some time now called Amber, but iOS users have not had the same luxury until now. There is a new application that's been released on iOS that essentially does the same thing. It's a dedicated app on your iPhone or iPad that you basically just trust with your Nostr private key, and then it talks over the Nostr network to all of your other Nostr applications to sign all of the events and stuff, so that you can just put your singular trust into one app rather than pasting your NTech everywhere. Annoyingly, this is called Aegis or Aegis, and there's already a well-known app called, I never know how to say it, but that for 2FA codes and stuff.
Aegis, I think, is also like they sponsor or bought what was the Rose Bowl in Hampshire, the Rose Bowl cricket place. And I think Aegis, who bought that, I think that's like an insurance company or something.
Bit annoying with the name, but good to see that iOS fanboys have now got a viable solution to deal with their NZEX.
Very good. We had a question at the end, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We did indeed. It's from Tickle Me Tummy with 0.0479 XMR. Thank you, sir. BTC brief question. Full KYC is an obvious no-go, but are there uses for services like GetBitter? They seem to be more privacy-focused than a centralized exchange. Yeah, so you've already alluded correctly in the question that GetBitter and similar services are not or should not be classified as no KYC. But are they better than a quote-unquote centralized exchange? Well, I'd still class GetBitter as centralized, but I get what you're trying to ask here. You're comparing them to something like Binance or Coinbase. Are they better? Yes, absolutely. The reason for that, in my opinion, is that these services, because of where they're domiciled, they only allow you to buy certain amounts of Bitcoin, and they are able, by limiting the amount of Bitcoin that you buy, are able to ask you for the bare minimum amount of information. To my knowledge, that is essentially just your banking information, which obviously can be tied to you in an instant. So then that's the reason that I say this shouldn't be considered as no KYC. But is that distinctly better than you signing up to Coinbase and having to give them 3-month bank statements, a selfie, a video, a picture of your cat's dick, etc.? Then yes, of course, it's 10 times better. So if somebody was like hell bent on wanting to do recurring buys and things like that, and they kind of weren't that bothered about the whole privacy side of things, would I send them to something like GetBitter versus Coinbase? Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, is it a Swiss company?
I believe so. Yeah, most of these similar type services all seem to be domiciled in Switzerland, because I think it's 1,000 Swiss francs a day, a week, or a month, or something like that is the limit. And they basically just need banking information.
But it's buy only. I don't know that you can sell with them as well.
No idea. Good point. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you can or not. And in which case, it's not like a full exchange. But yeah, it's definitely better.
Just looking at the Bitter website now, and it only has a buy button. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. I think it is only buy, but it's definitely better. If someone wants to, or a government wants to cause problems, they can easily do that with your banking details and find you and track you and everything. So don't treat it like it's peer-to-peer or anything like that. But it's a good middle ground. It's certainly better than a full-on exchange.
Agreed. Right. Brings us to the end of the list, sir. Any final business before I go and piss my pants and grab a coffee?
Are you going to piss your pants first and then grab a coffee, or are you going to piss your pants while having a coffee?
What I was probably going to do is just go to the toilet first, not piss my pants, and then make a coffee.
Okay. Then no, I will let you go and piss in peace, and I'll catch you on the next one, mate.
Thanks, mate. See you later.